Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Rider Ramblings. It's bit of a grey day. It doesn't know what it's going to do. Can't make its mind up today. It was sunny when I went out this morning. Not on the bike, but when I went out. And of course, now it wants to rain, and looking at the weather forecast, it wants to do everything. So yes, and of course the good news for the French people is that it started snowing in the French Alps. So they're very happy bunnies because they were reporting that there was no snow and skiing was not happening. Now, before Christmas, of course, it was skiing. They were skiing, and they were all loving it, and it was freezing cold and everything. And then we had the warm spell, and all the snow disappeared. So they had not a very good Christmas skiing. Anyhow, there's a friend of mine who has a chalet in Switzerland, and he's complaining that there's absolutely no snow around him, and in fact it's raining, and he normally goes there for about 4 months or so in the winter, he's coming home early simply because there's no snow. Anyhow, getting back to what I was discussing yesterday, and if you haven't seen yesterday's video, I'll leave a link at the end of this video that you can click on. Having a purpose in life. And I left it where I needed a purpose, and that purpose was not to have medical problems. But how does that interface with not selling this motorcycle? That's the interesting one. I wonder what Charlie's doing. I think he's going to try and park. How does that actually marry up with not selling this motorbike? And of course that is the long story, and if you know anything about me, I like rambling on, and this is particularly this part of it starts a very long time ago. I left hotel school and I started working for Crest Hotels. They don't exist anymore. THF sorted that, Trust House Forte. But Holiday Inn was part of Crest Hotels. I wonder what that is. It's a cycle track. Oh yes. Oh no, we're going to cycle on the road, block all the traffic. Morons. And they wonder why people hate them. I don't know. They wonder why people hate them. Anyhow, I was working for Crest Hotels in a very, very junior position, as I more or less left hotel school about a year earlier. And one of the things I got at hotel school was qualification in bar and cellar management. So I was actually in charge of the live beer, the real ale, if you wish. Though back in those days, real ale wasn't a thing. You drank real beer instead. It was before lager was a thing. There was lager, but only weird people drank it at the time. Most people drank beer. And as I say, we had live beer on tap, even though most of the beers sold were in a keg, pasteurized and so on. We actually did have draft Bass, which was a real live beer with the lees in the barrel. And it used to come in 36 gallon barrels. I don't know what Charlie is doing. He's just passed a parking place. If he's looking for a parking place, you've just passed one. There's another one there. Oh no, there isn't. I'm lying. Anyhow, I digress. The cellar in the place that I worked was about 4 feet high, 4.5 feet high. It wasn't very high. And there was about a 6-inch step onto which you racked the beer. What on earth are you doing? If you don't know what racking beer is, I suggest you have a look on Google for racking and spiling. There's things like hard spiling and soft spiling and so on. Anyhow, I was racking a 36-gallon barrel of beer onto this 6-inch high step, which doesn't sound like a lot, but a 36-gallon barrel of beer does actually weigh a considerable amount. And I misracked it. There is a technique. I knew the technique. I was good at the technique. I was just having a bad day, I think. I'd racked hundreds of barrels at that point, so I knew what I was doing. And I misracked it. And it came back at me, and of course, me being fairly stupid, which is true, I tried to catch it. Now, although I was very fit, and I do mean very physically fit, and quite strong because I was doing a tremendous amount of exercise at the time. I'll come to that later. 36 gallons of beer is a bit more than most people can catch. And although I didn't know it at the time, I'd actually slipped a disc in trying to catch it. I didn't know this. Being young and fit and stupid, I just felt a bit stiff afterwards, nothing major. But I'd slipped a disc. And this is the beginning of my sort of health problems. Now, as I say, I didn't know I'd slipped the disc. And it wasn't until quite a long time later, and I do mean a long time later, we're talking decades, that it sort of reared its ugly head, because once I stopped motorcycling and stopped doing exercise, that was when it reared its ugly head. And since then, I've slipped a number of discs. In fact, my physiotherapist took a look at the MRI scan and said, "Can I have a photograph of that? I've never seen that before." Which is a bit frightening, really. So, one of the things that actually is beneficial for your back is riding a bicycle, riding a motorcycle, riding a horse. Basically riding. Doesn't matter what you ride as long as you ride something. And that is beneficial to your back, which is one of the reasons why it was a case of once I stopped riding motorcycles and exercising, I started having back problems. I mean, the other thing, of course, is swimming, and I will get to that at some point in this diatribe as well. So, I need really to ride a motorcycle on a regular basis. And okay, I've got a motorcycle, I don't need two. I don't, honest. I just really need one, but ask any motorcyclist and they will tell you they need at least 4 or 5. Honest. So, this motorcycle that I'm riding now has been through all types of weather, and I do mean all types of weather. I've ridden in snow, I've ridden in ice, I've ridden in hail, I've ridden in blazing hot, more than 40-degree temperatures. I've ridden in downpours. I've ridden in everything. You name it, I've ridden in it. So, on the wet days, which today isn't, but on the wet days, I shall be riding this motorcycle. And on the dry days, I shall be riding the Yamaha, because I think the Yamaha has only been in the rain about 2 or 3 times, actually, in its 3 years. It's only been out 2 or 3 times in the rain. So I'd like to sort of keep that going, really. So that's the reason I'm not actually selling this bike for the foreseeable future, is during the wet weather, and there's quite a lot of wet weather in Paris. In fact, according to the climate websites, there's more rain in Paris than there is in London. That's quantity, not days of rain. It actually rains more days in London than it does in Paris. It just rains heavier in Paris. Right, so that's basically the backstory to part of the medical problems I started getting once I retired and stopped riding the bike every day to commute and stopped doing my various things. Just in case you're wondering why riding something helps, it's because you don't sit still. You're always moving. I mean, you know, I'm actually moving my back, just doing, you know, the slalom between the manhole covers. So you're always moving. You're always exercising your back muscles, which is why riding is good. Because whether it's a bicycle or horse or motorcycle, whatever, snowmobile probably, skidoo, anything like that would do. So, I'll say thank you very much for watching. I shall continue with this because there's more to the medical problems to come in the next one. So thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, share and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Yeah, that was stupid. Which gear am I in? Oh, okay.